The menu placed in your hands at a restaurant is a carefully crafted psychological weapon. It's designed with one purpose: to separate you from your money elegantly and efficiently. You think you're looking at a list of food, but you're actually reading a script designed to manipulate your deepest cognitive biases. And by the end of this, you'll be able to read the hidden language on every page and understand exactly how you're being guided to a decision you believe is your own. This is the architecture of choice, and it's being used on you every single time you eat out. Your eyes don't scan a menu randomly. They follow a predictable path. For decades, restaurants believed this path was a simple Z shape, starting at the top left and sweeping across. They were wrong. Modern eye-tracking studies revealed the truth. When we open a 2-page menu, our gaze lands first on the upper right-hand corner. That's the prime real estate. It's called the sweet spot. Whatever is placed there gets the most attention, and by extension, the most orders. So what do restaurants put there? Their highest margin items, the specialty cocktails, the appetizers with huge markups, or the steak that looks impressive but costs them very little to prepare. It's the first suggestion your brain receives, and first suggestions are powerful. From there, your eyes drift to the top left and finally down to the bottom center. This path is known as the Golden Triangle. The most profitable items on the entire menu live along this sightline. Anything the restaurant wants to push is placed directly in your path. Less profitable but necessary items, like a simple side salad, get tucked away in the corners, almost hidden. They're there if you look for them, but the menu's layout makes sure you see the cash cows first. Some menus use graphic design to amplify this. A box, a border, or a different color font acts like a spotlight, forcing your attention onto a specific dish. Your brain registers this visual emphasis as a sign of importance, a recommendation. You feel like you've discovered the best thing on the menu. In reality, your eyes were taken there on a leash, but controlling where you look is just the opening move. The real manipulation begins when you start to look at the prices. The most expensive item on the menu is rarely the one the restaurant wants you to buy. It's a decoy. Its real job is to make everything else look cheap. Imagine a menu with a $50 lobster tail sitting at the very top of the seafood section. Suddenly, the $32 salmon right below it seems incredibly reasonable. A bargain, even. You feel smart for choosing the salmon. You've avoided the extravagant lobster and picked a sensible, well-priced dish. You feel like you've won. The restaurant wins bigger. That $32 salmon might have a much higher profit margin than the lobster. The lobster is the anchor. It sets a new psychological ceiling for what a meal should cost in this establishment. Once your brain accepts $50 as a possible price, $32 feels like a discount. This is called anchoring bias. The first piece of information we receive heavily influences our subsequent judgments. The restaurant shows you a big number first, and every other number is judged relative to it. You aren't evaluating the salmon based on its intrinsic value. You are evaluating it in comparison to the anchor. This trick is amplified by a subtle design choice: removing the dollar sign. A price listed as 32 inches feels psychologically smaller and less significant than one listed as $32.00. The symbol for money triggers a faint, almost imperceptible pain of spending in our brains. Removing it abstracts the number. It becomes a figure on a page, disconnected from the very real money in your wallet. Some menus go even further, writing the price out in words, like 32. This makes it even more abstract and harder for your brain to process as a monetary value. Another technique is called nested pricing. The price is tucked discreetly at the end of the item's description in the same font and color. It's designed to be seen, but not to stand out. The goal is to get you to read about the food first, to fall in love with the description before you even consider the cost. By the time you see the number, you've already started to imagine the taste. You've already committed. They've managed your perception of price, but now they have to manage your perception of the food itself. And for that, they use language. Compare these two descriptions. First, fried calamari, And second, tender golden brown calamari rings with a zesty lemon garlic aioli. Which one sounds better? Which one would you pay more for? Studies from Cornell University and others have shown that using descriptive, evocative language can increase sales by as much as 27%. More than that, customers who ate the calamari with the fancy description actually rated it as tasting better than those who ate the exact same dish with the simple label. The words on the page literally changed their physical experience of the food. This is because descriptive language fires up your imagination. Tender and golden brown create a sensory expectation. Zesty and garlic trigger your sense of taste and smell before the plate even leaves the kitchen. Your brain is already enjoying the meal. You perceive it as having higher value, and you're willing to pay more for it. This effect is powerful. Restaurants use specific categories of words to achieve this. There are geographic labels, like Tuscan-style chicken or Patagonian toothfish. These imply authenticity and exotic quality. There are nostalgic labels, like Grandma's apple pie or Uncle Tony's famous meatballs. These trigger feelings of comfort, tradition, and homemade quality, suggesting a level of care that justifies a higher price. Then there's ingredient branding. A menu won't just say chocolate cake, it will say Ghirardelli chocolate lava cake. It won't say bacon cheeseburger, it will say cheeseburger with applewood smoked bacon. By attaching a premium brand to an ingredient, the restaurant borrows that brand's reputation for quality. You're paying for the bacon, but also for the story that comes with applewood smoked. These descriptions are a form of storytelling. They create a narrative around the dish that makes it feel special, unique, and worth the price. The words build a bridge from a list of ingredients to an experience, but the stories told by individual items are just one layer. A deeper story is being told by the very structure of the menu itself, a structure designed to manage your most crippling cognitive flaw, your fear of making the wrong choice. A menu with 100 items feels like a world of possibility. In reality, it's a trap. When faced with too many options, our brains overload. This is the paradox of choice. We become anxious, fearing that we'll pick the wrong thing. We feel pressure to make the best decision, but with so many variables, that calculation becomes impossible. So what do? We retreat to what's familiar. We order the burger, the spaghetti, the chicken parmesan, the safe, predictable items we've had 100 times before. And often, these are the items with the highest profit margins for the restaurant. They are easy to produce in bulk and have low-cost ingredients. The restaurant presents you with an illusion of endless choice, knowing that the paralysis it induces will funnel you right back to their most profitable dishes. Menu engineers know this. The most effective menus limit choice. The rule of thumb is 7 items per category. 7 appetizers, 7 entrees, 7 desserts. It's enough to provide a sense of variety, but not enough to trigger decision fatigue. Within these curated categories, choices are framed to guide you. A common tactic is the 2-tier wine list. Instead of a long, intimidating list, a restaurant will offer a small, curated selection. Then, on the same page, they will have a separate, much more expensive list called the reserve selection. This creates 2 distinct classes of customer in your mind. By choosing from the main list, you are implicitly identifying as a regular, sensible diner. It makes the choice easier and removes the anxiety of scanning dozens of bottles you don't recognize. The categories themselves are also engineered. A section called Chef's Features or House Favorites acts as a powerful suggestion. It signals that these dishes are special, endorsed by the expert in the kitchen. We trust that authority. Even if a dish in that section is slightly more expensive than a similar dish in the main entree section, we're more likely to choose it because we feel like we're getting an inside tip. This architecture gives you the feeling of making a smart, informed decision. You feel in control. Every choice feels like your own. But the game board was designed to lead you to this exact square. The final layer of manipulation goes even deeper. It targets your sense of who you are or who you want to be. Look at the names of menu sections: light and healthy, hearty classics, adventurous plates, for the table. These are more than just categories. They are identities. When you order from the light and healthy section, you are performing an identity. You are signaling to yourself and to anyone you're dining with that you are a health-conscious person. You're not just ordering a salad, you're casting a vote for a version of yourself. When you order from the hearty classics, you're the traditionalist, someone who appreciates comfort and authenticity. When you order the strange-sounding dish from the adventurous plates section, you're the worldly explorer. The menu offers you a chance to be the person you want to be for the evening, and we are often willing to pay a little more for that feeling of self-expression. The for the table, or shareables, section is a masterstroke of social engineering. It encourages communal ordering, which almost always leads to a higher total bill. People feel less price-sensitive when they're splitting the cost. It feels like a smaller individual purchase. Ordering an $18 appetizer for yourself might feel steep, but suggesting an $18 plate for the table feels generous and communal. It reframes spending as an act of social bonding. This social pressure is always humming in the background. If your friend orders an expensive cocktail, you suddenly feel more permission to do the same. If everyone at the table is ordering appetizers, you feel a subtle pressure to participate. The menu leverages this. By placing profitable, shareable items in a prominent spot, it encourages one person to start the cascade. Once the first domino falls, the rest of the table often follows. You believe you are making a series of independent choices about food. What you are actually doing is navigating a complex social and psychological landscape, one that has been meticulously designed to encourage spending at every turn. From the path your eyes take, to the decoys that frame your perception of value, to the words that make you taste the food before it arrives, to the identity you perform with your order. It's a seamless system. So what does this mean? That every restaurant is run by evil geniuses plotting to drain your bank account? Unlikely. It simply means they are very good at business. A restaurant's menu is its single most important marketing tool. It's the one piece of advertising that 100% of their customers will read. Optimizing it is just smart. The point is not to become paranoid, but to become aware. The goal is to be a conscious player in the game, rather than an unwitting one. The next time a menu is placed in front of you, just watch. Notice where your eyes go first. Look for the anchor, the most expensive item, and see how it makes everything else look reasonable. Read the descriptions and notice the sensory and nostalgic language being used. See how the categories frame your choices and offer you identities to try on. You might still order the $32 salmon. You might even enjoy it more knowing the mechanics of why it appealed to you. The difference is that the choice will be truly yours. You are no longer just a consumer following a script. You are an observer who understands the scene. And this ability to see the hidden architecture of choice is a skill that applies far beyond the restaurant. Every website you visit, every app you scroll, every store you walk into is using a version of these same principles. The restaurant menu is just the training ground.